The majority of chronic back pain sufferers stop training their low back. They're afraid of hurting it. They're afraid of causing a bigger herniation, a bigger bulge, more damage. Today, I'm gonna show you some really easy low back dominant exercise that you can do to get back to building endurance, stability, and strength in the low back without making it worse. If you're afraid to work out because of the exercises causing more pain, you're not sure what exercises you should pick or where you should start, I've got a free 7-day sample band and body weight workout that you can take absolutely free. Go to fitnessforbackpain.com/free week. It is a great supplement workout that you can apply with this specific video here today to level up your training, but more importantly, get back in the gym and over your chronic back pain. Lower body strength begins in the trunk. You have to learn how to brace the deep core, the transverse abdominis, in order to engage the low back and build the endurance that you're looking to gain. So what you're gonna do, we're gonna use some breath work. Very simple. There's a few stages to this. First one, hands on your chest, hands on your stomach. And we're gonna take deep breaths with our diaphragm. So you're really pulling air into the lower part of your stomach here. Get used to what that feels like so you're not pulling in from your chest. Second phase of this is the quick breath out. Sometimes you can think of this as if you're getting punched in the stomach, but the quick breath out is simply just engaging the trunk. Exhale, show you with some skin here. Make sure you're not hunching over like this, nice and tall. The second part of this, now that I'm braced here, but what I wanna do is I wanna think about taking my belly button and pulling it back towards my spine. So what it looks like, pull, 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 pull. Notice I'm not vacuuming, I'm not sucking in. What I'm doing, pull, 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 pull. I'm keeping it nice and flat. Some of you might feel like your pooch right here gets pulled in, your lower abs get a little bit tighter, but what you should feel as you're pulling in is your low back muscles. You should feel them begin to contract. That is your 360-degree core brace, but more importantly is you're building and you're activating the muscles first in the low back. Now we can move on to the low back dominant exercises. First exercise in the low back would be the opposite arm, opposite leg lifts. Now, there's lots of different variations that you can do with this exercise, and I always suggest that you start small and make sure you're working up to your specific pain tolerance. What you're doing here is I am just working on my lower limbs. I've got my right leg, I'm lifting it up nice and slow. I got my left leg, I'm lifting that up nice and slow, and I'm making sure that I'm not shifting in the low back. I'm just trying to engage the glutes, engage that low back just a little bit without any kind of major symptoms or pain being created. Now, to level this up, you're gonna go the opposite arm, opposite leg strategy. So you can do the right arm first or left arm first, whichever one you wanna pick, and you're gonna simultaneously lift the opposite side of the leg. You can do these in reps, which I enjoy doing, but you can also focus more on endurance, which is super, super important with a lot of low back exercises. It's not just about reps and getting those in, but building that endurance and that ability for your low back muscles to contract and the right muscles to stay engaged through the entire process. Another variation that you can play around with is just more of an upper body lift. Take your hands and put them under your chin or under your forehead, and you're going to brace the abs first, keep that nice and locked in, and you're going to lift just the upper body. Another great lower back dominant exercise is the stability ball extensions. When you're just starting out and you're kind of afraid to really target the low back, start with this exercise. What you're gonna do is you're gonna get set up on the wall within a distance that feels comfortable for you where you're not going to fall over the ball. You also wanna make sure that you're far enough off the wall where you can actually feel some engagement in the low back. The more your knees are bent when in this position, the less you're gonna feel in your low back depending on where the ball's at. The more you press out and straighten your legs, you should have more of an engagement or activation of that lower back. So play around with it. Now you can do this in reps where you're going to slowly bend, get a little bit of a stretch, not too much crazy, keeping the abs nice and braced as well. And you're gonna come up just to about parallel. There's no reason to overextend and things like that and really kind of compress those discs, especially if you have a chronic back pain situation. I wanna encourage you to not just focus on the low back. That whole posterior chain is connected in some way. So feel free to engage your glutes, squeeze your glutes glutes before you start doing it. That's gonna help stabilize that pelvis, stabilize the low back. While you're engaging it and building that endurance, you're learning to incorporate all the surrounding muscles, making this more of a complex exercise, which is what you need. You can't strengthen the low back without also incorporating glute strength at the same time. The exercise I want you to start with are just hip lifts. Start with just body weight. A lot of people want to go heavy quick. In this case here, it's gonna feel good. Not many people can't do this. So find a position with your legs that feels comfortable for you, where you can engage the glutes before lifting off. When you're up at the top, don't overextend and try to push your pelvis towards the wall or whatever's in front of you. Stand up nice and tall, brace, keep everything nice and tight, and then lower yourself nice and easy. Once you've mastered the body weight version of this, now let's add some weight. Grab 35 pounds, grab 40 pounds, and start with there. Whatever your fitness level is, grab a weight that fits you best. That's a great way to level up this exercise, build more strength, build more stability, and be able to handle more in the low back area. Last but not least is the traditional glute bridge. What we're gonna do is add a little bit of salt to this exercise, make it a little bit more special for you, and take a basketball or any kind of ball or a really stiff pillow, and we're gonna put it between our knees, and we're going to squeeze that ball while we're doing this exercise. What this is doing is essentially engaging all the muscles in between your knees, like your groin, your adductors, all the inner thigh muscles. You're activating all these muscles at the same time as your glutes. So the best way to do this is lay on your back, get your brace going, make sure it's nice and tight, everything's going well in that area. From there, you're going to add that ball to your knee. You're going to contract the glutes first, squeeze that ball second, and then you're going to lift your glutes, making sure that you're not overextending. A big issue that people have when it comes to this exercise is they're overextending in the low back. They're causing more pain than what really needs to happen. Focus on reps. You can go nice and slow. You can hold at the very top, building endurance in the muscles that are painful. So focus on endurance over reps, but find one that fits you best and be consistent with it. Make sure you head to fitnessforbackpain.com/free week to grab that free 7-day band and bodyweight strength training routine. If you wanna know the biggest mistakes I have seen over the past 8 years of working with chronic low back pain sufferers all over the world when it comes to building strength in the low back without causing more injury, be sure to watch that biggest mistakes video here.